Alrighty. Moving forward, we have a topic that we're going to we're going to rewind a little bit. This was news that I think broke during Super Bowl week, if I recall. And we were just focused on Super Bowl things, so we didn't really get to it at the time. But Trevor Bauer, pitcher in the MLB, who has played for, I think of Cleveland and Cincinnati right off the top of my head. He might have played for a couple other teams. Not 100% sure. Baseball is easily the third most popular sport in like the North American professional leagues behind football and basketball. It's a distant third. But he signed with the Dodgers, which got Denver and I thinking about salary caps in sports. Because obviously, you look at the NFL and the NBA, the two professional leagues that he and I follow most, they both have hard salary caps and rules about, you have to spend at least this much, but you can't go over this amount kind of thing. Otherwise, you have to pay the luxury tax, stuff like that. And then there's always usually a hard cap at the very, very, very top end. But that's not like that in baseball. And we are now going to kind of dive into the realm of, are salary caps good, or do they make the games a little more boring? Denver, your initial thoughts.
Okay, so when I think of salary caps, I truly believe they're... I like how baseball is kind of like you can do whatever you want. In an aspect, it's like playing like a real world, like no salary cap franchise mode, where you're just like, I can sign all the big stars. Like, I can have Patrick Mahomes with like Antonio Brown. I don't know why I said Antonio Brown. Odell Beckham Jr. and they can be paid $100 million, something crazy. Overall, though, I like that there's salary caps, especially because I am the basketball one of us two, the NBA side anyway. And if there wasn't salary caps, there would be some bad. There's like, okay, so you look at the Brooklyn Nets right now, like they're a good example. They pay such a huge luxury tax, or they're going to have to pay like a huge luxury tax because they got like almost 3 max deals on their salary. Like that's a oof. So their salary tax is going to be high. But in baseball, you said it earlier when you first brought it up to me off stream, was you could just buy the championship. You could just buy the title. So, it's an interesting concept. I think overall salary caps are great for sports. Great for sports, because if they're not...
We love the dogs in the background, don't worry.
Yeah, you can hear the dogs. I would like to preference that my dog was humping another dog right there, and I don't know if she meant it intentionally.
We gotta cut this. Stop. No, we can't talk about that.
What do you mean? You're talking YouTube. We could talk about it here live on stream.
Yeah, on stream, but that makes it harder for me. I gotta go back and cut this shit. Move on. 1 second. Before you move on, I'm throwing it up on the screen. Of course, the announcement, Trevor Bauer to the Dodgers. And this is kind of what Denver is talking about, so continue as you were.
So, like, having a payroll, like it says here on stream, is it like insane? Look at that. $217 million a year for a 26-man payroll, or 226 in total. Like, that's insane. When you look at the NBA, I think it's like 120 or 126, somewhere in that range, of like, you get this much, like you said, you get this much money, you need to have this many guys, can't go over, or you're paying the luxury tax. In baseball, that's insane.
Absolutely.
Like, I would like to preference one thing before you go on. $217 million is as much as one NBA player makes on a supermax contract right now, and that's Giannis. Or Giannis. I say Giannis. Giannis. So that's just one guy, but that's
over 4 or 5 years, right? Yeah.
Yeah.
Kind of insane. we'll go back to 2020 to update this. This is obviously the most kind of relevant information we just saw. The Dodgers won the World Series and definitely look poised based on their pitching staff now to go do it again. Now, they weren't number one last year due to the prorated salaries due to COVID. They were number two. It was pretty close, though, between them and the Yankees. $108.5 million that they paid. The team that they played in the World Series is all the way down here at 28.3. Now, obviously, you can use that as an illustration. You can't just buy the title. Yes and no. There's exceptions to every rule, right? If you go and look at the majority of teams that win the title, let's go back to 2019. The two teams that competed for the World Series title were top 8 in salary. And I mean that they're competitive with basically everybody in front of them, right? Except there's always these teams up top that kind of break the bank, but this is going to be corrected a little bit because the Red Sox and the Cubs are coming down off of competing, in like 2018 and stuff. The Red Sox paid $22 million more than everybody else, and they played against the Dodgers in the World Series. You can, to an extent, buy your way to the title, and that doesn't feel great, in my opinion. Again, you could make the argument that you can kind of buy your way there in other sports too, but they force you to make a trade-off, right? You have to sign at least like kind of, I'm going to go back to a 2K term, the budget ballers, right? You got to have dudes that fill in the squad that don't make a lot of money. They force you to do that. Whereas right now, God, I forget where I saw it, but the Dodgers pitching staff for 2021, I mean, you have the guys that everyone knows, Walker Buehler, Clayton Kershaw, Jose Urias, or Juli, I forget his name. Again, not a big baseball guy. And now they have Trevor Bauer, and I want to say, who's their other starter? Anyway, basically, they're 5 starters in their main rotation. You could take any one of those dudes, and he'd be like the ace on most other staffs in the league. And that's just weird to me. It really is buying at least a spot in the World Series, it feels like, at the very most, or at the very least, rather.
The Dodgers remind me of the Miami Heat in 2011. You had like the 3 big guys, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, LeBron. But like you said, you have to make trade-offs. Can you name, like, okay, we're from Mitchell, South Dakota. Woo. Mike Miller was on that roster.
Yes, he was.
Like, let's be real. Mike Miller was making vet minimum, which was $1 million a year at that time. It might have even been a little less, to be honest with you. But it's like, you want to have the 3 best players? Well, you're going to have the 9 most average players in the league. And in baseball, there's no such thing, which kind of makes baseball stupid. That's just my preference. It's stupid. Like,
you look at this.
What?
They have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They have 8 guys making at least $14 million a year.
Stupid.
It's absolutely insane. Like, it is what it is.
Stupid.
I'm sure baseball has their reasons for this, and obviously it's based a lot on the teams in the big markets get more money. That just makes sense, but it feels very, very, very different, whether you like that type of thing or not, to the other leagues. And that's just something that we wanted to talk about today, because it's big right now. The Dodgers somehow just keep finding money in the midst of a pandemic. They found enough to now. Trevor Bauer makes the most money on their team now. And they already had a dude making $31 million a season. It's just insane. But we will leave this debate open to maybe be picked up at a later date.